It's guys' night and you're hosting. Imagine your friends tucking into this. So we're going to show you how to make a really simple, quick and easy paste right from the beginning. So first thing you're going to need is you're going to need some kind of a container that's going to fit into your blender. I like to use the big ice cutting blade because it really chops things up really nicely. And of course your mini blender. So into this cup here, we're going to start off by putting about a thumb size of ginger. You want to peel that quite roughly. You don't have to make it sure it's perfect, but you just want to make sure you get the nasty stringiness of it. And really, all you're going to do is roughly chop it up so that you've got some chunks. So you can just slide that in there. Another thing you're going to need is 4 cloves of garlic. So I've got this size of garlic. That's kind of like I like to use. I like to make sure that we've got a good garlic flavor in there because it really adds to what we've actually got going. Again, roughly chop those babies up and they go right into the blender itself. Now, of course, you want the chilies. Okay, so we got a couple of chilies here and we're gonna roughly chop them. These ones I've taken from my garden. And so they're just crisping up. I'm in the middle of drying them out so that we can have some chilies for the rest of the year. And we're just going to put those right into the thing. Now, you'll notice that I've got some seeds here on the cutting board, and those are okay to put in. They're going to give it a little extra heat, so you want to make sure that it's something that you want to have. But if you want that little extra zip, you can just zip those seeds in there. It should be fine and dandy. Last thing for kind of our kind of fresh ingredients is cilantro. And cilantro is a kind of a wonderful herb because it's kind of one of those things that just kind of adds that extra dimension. I know that people have a love-hate relationship with it. This is also called fresh coriander. So in any case, I've washed this off already. And again, we're just going to chop a bunch of this roughly before we put it into the blender. And there it all goes. Now, we want to blend this stuff down before we put the rest of our items into it. So one of the things that I always find is to put a little bit of water in. And one of the reasons why I actually start with these ingredients and water, and I like to just get to the top of the garlic and ginger there. So that was probably about, how many mils? That was probably about 250 mils of water I just threw in there. And I like to get these ground up first because I find that if you don't put your wet ingredients in first into the blender, then they get all stuck up behind the dry stuff. Okay, here we go. Plug your ears. You see how that blade makes short work of. We'll let that just settle down a little bit. While we're letting that settle down, we want to get some of our spices and toast them. So there are a couple of spices that we're going to toast, and they're going to be your coriander and your cumin. And these are seeds, and when you toast them, it brings them back to life. So we're going over here to the pan, and we'll toast them up. Once they start popping, then you're going to take them out of the pan. You're going to pour them onto a piece of kitchen towel, and I like to have mine with the cut down the middle so it forms sort of like a little mini funnel. And then you're going to pour them into the small container of your blender mixer, and you're going to use the spice grinding blade because it's just made for that. And then once you've ground that up, you're going to bring it back over to the counter, ready to add into our mix here. The other thing that I like to add that's just kind of a little special thing that a lot of people don't is ground cardamom. And I've just taken this, put this in the pestle and mortar, broken it off, taken the shells off, and then ground it up a little bit. And now we bring it over here to the table. The other thing we're going to need is a spoon to measure things with. And you're going to see the term teaspoon in the recipe below, and I'm going to use the term teaspoon. And really, it's one of these, teaspoons you have. You can go precise with it if you want. I actually started doing this stuff when I was in a place where we didn't have any kind of Indian food restaurants, and I needed to make my own. So I kind of worked these things out so the proportions are going to be right. What we're going to do, this was about 4 coriander pods. This was 1 heaping teaspoon of coriander seeds, 1 heaping teaspoon of your cumin, and we were good to go. So that's what we've got in there. We're going to add these into this mix here. Now, one of the things that we're going to do to hold the whole thing together is we are going to add a little bit of tomato paste. One of the things that I do is I take a pair of can openers and I just click it in the top and I just kind of undo it over top of the mixing container. And what I like to do is very carefully, because it is sharp, I like to just kind of push down and then take out the metal, and we're going to wash that off to recycle it. Now we've got all our wet ingredients in there. Now, when I'm putting in my spices, I like to have a piece of kitchen paper with me just so that I can wipe everything off. Okay, so we'll first of all start with our spices that we toasted. Make sure you've got it upside down, tap it so you get as much out of the blade as possible. Put that over there to wash, and then just pour those pre-ground spices in there, and we can put that off to the side. Next, we want to take our cardamom that we ground up nicely with our pestle and mortar, and we're going to put that in the top there. That should be fine for that. I'm going to start with my smoked paprika, because if I get a little bit of smoked paprika into the hot pepper, it's not going to make any difference. If I get some hot pepper into the paprika, then it is a big deal. So we're going to have 1 teaspoon of the paprika. And then with this one, because I know it's a pretty hot pepper, I would probably go about a real half a teaspoon. I'm not going to go much more than that. Our garam masala. We're probably going to need a couple of teaspoons of this, because this is one of those foundational spices. I like to put, because I use the coarse ground sea salt, I like to put in a full teaspoon on this one, because it really does need it to kind of perk it up. There's a couple of other things that you want. 2 tablespoons worth of the sesame oil, and just because this is a tikka masala paste we're making, we're going to put in some coconut. So I'm going to put in 4 heaping teaspoons. So now that we've got everything here, that's basically it for the paste. We're going to take this paste now, and we are going to whiz it in the mini mixer. There you have it. There is your tikka masala cooking paste. Now, I'm going to show you how to make this paste into an amazing tikka masala.